Everything you're about to see on this video is a combination of my 40 years of study of the published literature, as well as 30 years worth of patient contact as a colorectal surgeon. I'm not here to diagnose or treat anyone. I'm here for educational purposes only because no manner of brains is worth a good set of bells. Hey, it's Dr. Toker, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon, and I am on a mission to educate the world in terms of gut health and the microbiome and how that impacts your daily life. I certainly hope you will join me on this journey, but you're going to have to buckle up, Buttercup. We're talking gut stuff. And good morning. We are talking gut stuff today. For this month, since it's an organizational month for me, we're presenting some topics that I've talked about in the past. Some of them have been recorded for public use, and some of them are actually part of a lecture series that I have for sale. The next 4 weeks will be sort of a micro version of an online program that I have. I am retooling some of this program to be in a subscription, and I figured, why not share with the world since we're talking about it? And let me get myself situated here just a second. If you want more details on what I am describing, you can find the original recorded series of this lecture in a lecture series called Regain Your Hotness, Reclaim Your Sanity. That's what we all really want, I think. It's one of the main focuses of our wellness practice in the med spa. Before I started sharing my thoughts on microbiome stuff and then getting involved in the nutrition world with my friends at PFC3, Mark McDonald and Carrie Lapoli. And of course, this is long before I met Jay Dollywall, the founder of Super Patch. And like all of our lectures, Super Patch does sponsor this Thursday lecture series. And that technology is going to be incredibly important for the concept that I'm going to share for the next 4 weeks. So it's probably appropriate to have a shout out to Super Patch while we're discussing how you are going to reclaim your hotness. This is a 4 lecture series, and today we're going to start with the concept of detox. And a lot of people talk about detox as being an active thing where you take something and it flushes your system. And truly, that is something that you can do, but it is more proactive than that. There's a lot of education and avoidance one needs for proper detox. So let's go over what that might be and how we can support our bodies as we're trying to really honestly shed the poisons that are all around us. Now, I do apologize. The format of the slides are not really designed for what I'm doing. So you're only going to get a partial view of the slides. What can I tell you? These slides are not available for free download on our website, but they are part of a program that honestly I used to sell for $1,500 in the med spa, which is now like $25. They're pre-recorded. I took the live version of this information and the months of education I used to give people, and I turned it into a 4-month educational program. I mean, a 4-lecture educational program. I video recorded it, and I offer it for very little money. There are a lot of worksheets that go into this program, and so if you're interested in that or the worksheets, you can always find this Regain Your Hotness program on our website. However, as the free version, let me just read for you. There are several rules that are important in life, to be honest with you, not just in the world of detox, but for your own edification, because a lot of us, unfortunately, have been programmed by society to think certain things. And so you need to unprogram that. So rule number 1, that there is no such thing as willpower. And I know that's kind of hard to understand because a lot of you think, well, I snack all the time because I have no willpower. And what it boils down to is the more decisions you make in a given day, the worse your decisions get. So you're constantly making decisions. When you say you have no willpower, it means you're making the wrong decisions when posed with a choice. So your job then is to make as few decisions in your life as humanly possible so that when you are proposed with a choice, you can make the correct choice. Now, it's probably a good idea, and we'll talk about good habits, bad habits, how we're going to swap them out. And the Super Patch Company actually does have a patch that can kind of help your exhausted brain make the right choice. There's a distinct neurologic pathway that goes into decision making. And interesting, if a decision is bad for you and you know that it is bad for you, like you know it's bad to smoke, your brain actually has to force yourself to learn that habit of smoking because it really doesn't want to do something to harm itself. Every bad habit you have that you know is a bad habit, you had to force yourself to learn. And therefore, it's a very different pathway than just reflexively acting. And because it's a different pathway, you can try to control that a little bit. And so Super Patch has something called a kick it patch, which helps. We use this in the weight loss program at the med spa. But start right now. Remove as many decisions from your life as humanly possible. We'll talk about that next week in time management. But rule number one, understand you're not failing because you don't have willpower. You're failing because you're trying to make too many decisions in a given day. And towards the end of that day, you get exhausted and you start making all the wrong decisions. Rule number two, you are what you eat. Okay. If you have more fat on your body than you would like. And I don't want to talk about weight because weight is obviously a component of your bones, your water mass, your muscle mass, and fat. If you have more fat mass than you would like, which is true for many of us, including myself, understand fat requires less energy to maintain. Fat requires less water to maintain. So if you want to get rid of this fat mass, you actually need to drink more water and move your body more because those two things will naturally start selecting for muscle mass over fat mass. You can starve yourself as much as possible to the point of absolute misery, and your body knows how to hold on to fat and lose muscle. And this is the failure that people have when they are on the injectables like Wegovy or Mounjaro, semaglutide, tirzepatide. These GLP-1s are so effective. They're incredibly effective medicines, both for diabetes, blood sugar control, enormous appetite suppressants. You are starving yourself of food, nutrition, and therefore you're losing muscle as a priority as opposed to fat. And so I want you to get out of the concept of you need to lose weight. What you're trying to do is increase your muscle mass and decrease your fat mass. You're trying to recompose body composition. Drink more water, get more exercise. You'll find this process is a little easier to start when you do that. Okay, rule number three, if you can visualize it, you can do it. The course of my lifetime posed with a lot of hurdles before me, I have found that success was almost always in the instances where I can close my eyes and see myself accomplishing that. I can see myself making a college tennis team 6 months after I took my first tennis lesson. I can see myself getting into medical school, graduating medical school. I can see myself as a surgeon. I can see myself doing the trauma surgery in the middle of the night. If you can close your eyes and run that video in your mind, then you can do it. So if you have a goal in mind, no matter what that goal is, write it down. Every day needs to be a clear vision of that goal, and every action you take needs to be a step towards that goal. If it's an enormous goal, and we'll talk about this next week in time management, then you break that down into smaller goals so you can achieve that. Now, this is important for the women in the room because we have a tendency to stand on a scale and get upset at what it says, right? The scale of woe is kind of what it truly is. Optical illusion is actually more important than gravitational pull. So what the scale says is not nearly as important as your body proportions. There was a study at the University of Texas that showed something called the Venus ratio. Now, the World Health Organization will use something called a hip to waist ratio to determine malnutrition. If your hip to waist ratio is small, then that's somebody who is malnourished. And if your hip to weight ratio is large, that's someone who is overnourished. And so in a study at University of Texas, they took pictures of random people women on campus, turned them into silhouettes. You can't see their face. You cannot see their skin complexion, how their hair's done, how their makeup's done. You can only see a female figure. And they showed it to men and asked them which figure looked the most attractive to them. There is a specific ratio of 0.8 that they all pointed to, and it didn't matter what the girl weighed, how tall they were, how much body fat these women had. They were visually looking at the old hourglass Marilyn Monroe figure. This is what is attractive to men. And it's interesting because a lot of women look in magazines, beauty magazines, and think, oh, the skinny must be attractive to men because all these magazines have skinny women. And I used to have to remind my daughter, like, skinny women are sort of like hangers. Clothes just sort of drape on them naturally. It is an easy way to display clothing. And so that doesn't mean that's what men find attractive. And so women, get your mind out of it. Okay. So what I would like people to consider is find a day, and today is as good a day as any, to stop bad habits and replace them with good ones. It is very difficult to stop a habit outright because a lot of times there's both a chemical and a habitual component to these habits. So it is easier to replace. I tell a lot of patients to go gluten-free. Okay, just replace the noodles with gluten-free noodles, replace the bread with gluten-free bread, right? Just make the replacement. And that way your brain is still going through its typical habits of what it likes to see on a dinner plate, but your physiology is seeing a different substance. If you drink a lot of sodas, switch to something that doesn't have any sweeteners at all in it, like a bubbly water or something like that. A Topo Chico, something that doesn't have any artificial anything in it. It's just mineral water. If you don't like mineral water, then just switch to water in a glass, and just make that switch. You're still going from hand to mouth. You're just changing from a soft drink that either has sugar or artificial sweeteners to something that is better for you. And you can gradate this step down. But replace those habits. And again, this is a good place for one of these kick it patches. If you have a particular bad habit, you always snack on your way home from work. You always walk in the door and grab a snack instead of waiting 30 more minutes for dinner. Switch that habit with something else. Make the dinner in a crock pot so it's ready when you walk in the door. Have a healthy snack waiting for you at the countertop so you can just grab that banana and eat it while you're cooking dinner, whatever the case may be. So make that healthy switch. And today's the day you can do it. Our program does have worksheets, and it also has some add-on bonus content for you to think about. So if you're interested in any of this content, you can find that on our website. Okay. Toxins. So we're talking about detox, and I apologize, these slides don't really fit for the Instagram up and down format, but it is what it is. You can listen on Spotify, or you can watch on YouTube. Well, I think YouTube will still cut it off because I'm filming this in the up and down. Damn it. Anyway, there it is. Listen on Spotify. If it annoys you, I apologize. Or, spend the $25 and buy it online. But anyway, there are two forms of toxins. One of them is an exogenous toxin. It has an external origin. Glyphosate, for example, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. These things are exogenous toxins. Well, now there are endogenous toxins, and we have talked about this in the past. The most notorious is called zonulin. And zonulin is an endogenous toxin your body naturally makes in the presence of gluten that is found in high concentrations at the origin of every known medical illness. Pretty significant toxin, don't you find? So there are toxins around you. Now, when we think of toxins, we're thinking these obvious pictures of pollution, smokestacks puffing up all the horrible stuff, your fish swimming around in plastic. But what's really happening, and the scary thing is, a lot of the exogenous toxins you eat are sprayed directly onto your food sources outside your view, so you cannot see it happening. And that is the real danger with modern society. I mean, they're not quite putting syringes in your tomatoes, but they're spraying. Everything is genetically modified. Everything is getting sprayed with something. And the way they are rapidly growing things, your fruit and your vegetables are basically cellulose and water with almost no other important nutrient. And that's a problem, because not only are there vegans watching right now who are thinking, holy cow, I'm a vegetarian. You're saying my vegetables don't have any nutrients. You have to get organic, non-GMO to avoid a lot of this. But even then, the soil in the modern era is not as good as it should be, or as good as it could be. The second issue is, if you're a carnivore, don't snicker and say you've escaped the danger, because the animals you are eating are being fed grain and GMO type food substances so that they are unhealthy and you wind up eating their unhealthiness. You are what you eat. So know what you eat. Is the purpose. I don't try to scare, it's not to scare people, is to let you know you are exposed to toxins on a daily basis. Now, this slide I borrowed from Standard Process, where I still have that account. I just don't write for a lot of Standard Process anymore. But basically, human beings are exposed to all kinds of chemicals. 80,000 chemicals are registered in the United States. And there are 800 million pounds of herbicides used on a daily basis. So just think of that, like you are surrounded, and very difficult to escape. Now, I know this slide got cut off, and I apologize for that, but toxins contribute to a range of conditions. So listen very closely to these conditions. And if you think you have any of these symptoms, then this just in, your life is full of toxins. Okay. And this is actually one of the quizzes that I have in the program. You take a quiz to determine exactly how bad your toxicity level is. Number one, food cravings and weight gain is a sign of toxins. So is fatigue or difficulty sleeping, reduced mental clarity, decreased libido. Everyone complains of that one, right? Oh, my hormones are off. Joint discomfort, GI discomfort, indigestion, toxins big time. Cloudy thoughts, cloudy head. Okay, this is all toxins speaking. There can be other medical issues, but many of you have gone to the doctor and they say everything's fine. I hear that daily. Daily, I hear that. I've been to every doctor. They say everything's fine. Yeah, but do you know what you're eating? You're eating crap. You need to stop doing it. Okay, now your life, as a general rule, is going to incorporate stressors into your life. And stress acts as an endogenous toxin. Corticosteroids from your adrenal gland are an endogenous toxin in high doses. There's a role for cortisol, and we've talked about that in prior lectures. Okay, if you smoke or you live with someone who smokes, You do any kind of recreational drugs or alcohol. If you travel a lot, especially by airplane, you're exposed to X-rays in the airport, and you're also exposed to diesel, jet fuel, and those kinds of things. You're also exposed to other people and their perfumes and vacation food and airline food and airport food, and all those things are toxins. Too much physical activity, believe it or not, is a stressor and a toxin. A lot of people don't think that. They just work out, work out, work out because they want to get in better shape and can't understand why they can't lose weight. They're overstressing their bodies, and perimenopausal, menopausal women do not need that level of exercise. It's too stressful, actually. If you're not sleeping properly, if you spend too much time on the cell phone, a lot of the perfumed soaps and those kind of things, especially men aftershave, these all contain hormonal toxins. Living in a city is light pollution, sound pollution. If you live in a farming area, you've got glyphosate pollution. If you're living in an old home with old paint, there's lead that might be in that paint, lead that might be in the pipes. If you live near industry, you might have pollution in the ground, pollution in the water. There are certain hobbies, whether you're making model airplane, that glue, I remember the glue my brother loves to make models. Like, damn, it's potent stuff. That's a toxin for sure. If you like to skeet shoot, lead is a poison. If you're out there golfing, those golf courses don't maintain themselves, right? They are sprayed with herbicides and pesticides. If you love a great lawn, you've got herbicides and pesticides most likely in your lawn. And if you're tearing down a house, and here we are in hurricane season, and rebuilding, there are tons of toxins in home renovation. I know after Katrina, my brother was renovating houses for a living, and the amount of toxins he was exposed to, it easily took a decade off his life. Now, cortisol is a glucocorticoid, which means your body uses it to help drive up blood sugar to prepare yourself for a stress like being chased by the Viking hordes. However, modern life makes your adrenal glands constantly pump that stuff out. When that happens, it causes gut distress. It increases your inflammation. It also alters your blood sugar. You're much more likely to have digestive problems. You're much more likely to have chronic fatigue. And we do have a surgical bullpen on stress, what I like to call give a damn disease. That is a real known association of people with very stressful jobs, and their stomachs are dorked up bad. So keep that in mind. Stress, GI discomfort, there's your gut stuff. Go hand in hand. I'm a firm believer in something called the Peace Patch from the Super Patch Company, which absolutely helps with stress. Absolutely helps with stress. Now, when you are in the process of detoxing, so let's say you've decided today's the day, man, I'm getting rid of my toxins. A couple things are going to happen. The first is, first of all, congratulate yourself. Your body's going to have a relief, but not immediately at first. As you do things, drink more water, take the adrenal supplements, you're going to find you feel worse as those toxins pass through the liver a couple of times prior to getting excreted out of your body. Your body has to alter all these chemicals into different molecules that are now water soluble so you can urinate them out. A lot of these toxins are trapped in your fat. One of the reasons you can't lose fat will be because there's too much toxin in there. Your body is insulating you from these toxins. It can take years to get rid of some of that. Linoleic acids, what seed oil is linoleic acid. Your body can't digest that. It stores it as fat, and your body can take up to, I think it's 185 days, at least 185, maybe more than that, to break linoleic acid down. So when you cook with vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, you are simply putting that fat into your subcutaneous and your mesenteric tissues. You're not burning that fat at all. Your body has a really hard time burning that. Okay, so just know where the toxins are. They'll be in your body for a long period of time. It is hard to get rid of them, but as you do that, you will find that some of the stress comes out of you, your gut function will improve, your brain function will improve. Now, the adrenal gland does have specific nutritional needs. B12 vitamin, B complex vitamins, B12 in particular, are important. Some people are missing the ability to methylate vitamins. And so, if you've got this known methylation problem, you will want to make sure that you just don't take a vitamin supplement. You will need to get these vitamins in their whole format. In other words, plant based vitamin format. Vitamin C, and by vitamin C, I do not mean ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is only part of the component of vitamin C and really is not helping you. You want real vitamin C that comes from a fruit or a vegetable. And so, whole food supplements, I cannot say enough. And I think I've already mentioned that trace minerals are missing in modern food. And so, if you can find a good source of trace minerals, one that is organically sourced, that would be in your best interest. Almost everybody is magnesium and zinc deficient. Just you might as well reach for a magnesium and a zinc supplement of some form and just make sure it is a good one. Make sure it is one that you can absorb. And I would always reach for an organic format of that if possible. That's how your body knows how to absorb the organic versions. Um, when you're detoxing, you need, and we did a series on detox where there is liver detox, there is kidney detox, there is gut detox, there's skin detox, to be honest with you. So there's multiple organs that are responsible for this detoxification process. All of that requires high protein intake. And all of it requires hydration. So you got to drink a lot of water. You have to consume a high protein diet, and you may need a supplementation in your protein to get there. It's very difficult to consume that kind of protein. Even on a carnivore diet, you'd be eating a lot, but I guess it's probably easier to do it through a carnivore diet than a plant based diet. You have to consume a lot of plants to get 120 grams of protein in your day. You may want to reach for a protein supplement if that is your choice eating lifestyle. I do suggest there's a couple things that I suggest to help you detox. For gut health is going to be Zyve 7. And Zyve 7 is an all-in-one digestive product. It is available on our website as well as on Amazon Prime and TikTok Shop if you follow TikTok Shop. Unfortunately, Instagram does not let me attach a Zyve 7 link, but my Instagram profile in the link tree will have access to that if you want to know where to get the Zyve 7. That's something that you're going to take with meals. It has digestive enzymes in there to help you break down plant material so you can digest plant material better, to break down proteins like lectins that you would find in wheat or grains or beans or nuts or nightshades. Lectins are proteins these vegetables have that can be inflammatory, and a digestive protease can help you. There's a fat digestive enzyme in there as well. There's an herbal blend that helps coordinate the upper and mid GI tract functions. And then, of course, it's got a broad spectrum probiotic, including a spore forming Bacillus coagulans organism. And Bacillus coagulans is extremely important for helping mitigate small intestinal bacterial overgrowth symptoms. If you're on antibiotics, it can survive antibiotics. It can help chase away some C. difficile. So that Bacillus spore former is actually a very important aspect to Zyve 7. Now, N-acetylcysteine is, and it is interesting, the FDA tried to ban it It was taken off of Amazon during the recent pandemic, which is a shame because that supplement had been shown to help patients recover extremely rapidly from viral illness without the complications that some other patients may have had. And so it's not an antiviral, but it definitely is a detox, which helps your body combat infection. So N-acetylcysteine is critical in anyone like myself with an autoimmune disease, or someone who is struggling with a viral infection, or let's say you're on chemotherapy and you got the foggy brain. N-acetylcysteine, and you can find that online. Amazon is fine. It's very hard to get an organic source of N-acetylcysteine because that would come from rotten eggs. And honestly, there's reasons you should not be eating rotten eggs. Okay. And when it comes to super patch, the patches that I do suggest, if you're on a detox journey, which if today is a day, that is fantastic. I do invite you to do this, are the peace patch for the stress, defend patch for your immune function, and for your blood flow. Defend patch is critical. REM is for sleep, to help you sleep. Liberty is for autonomic nervous system control, which can help with vagal nerve as far as gut function. It also helps with fascial stability. I would say there's a new patch out called Lumi, Lumi, which is designed to improve blood flow to epithelial surfaces and optimize collagen deposition. That paper is in review for publication right now. So I didn't include it in the list, but verbally I'm going to tell you that I think that will be an add-on, not just for people who want better skin health, but for people who want better gut health. After all, your GI tract is the number one immune function and toxin preventer and fighter that you have. Now, keep in mind, in your home, there's several things in your home that may contain toxins that you may not know about. Notorious are going to be certain types of of plastic containers, and scented things like room fresheners and candles and cleaning supplies. Be wary of how they are scented. Fertilizer, pesticides in your garage for your yard. And then keep in mind that there are general exposures in the cologne that you wear, in your aftershave, your deodorant, your shampoo. Things that make contact with your body can be absorbed by your body. So you just need to know. There is an app. I just learned about this app, and called Yucca, Yuka. And apparently has a QR code scanner thing. I just downloaded it today. I haven't used it yet. And you scan a QR code at the store, and it can tell you the list of ingredients that are in that item. Is that something that's toxic, not toxic? Can help you shop when you really don't know this answer. So I'm in this mission myself, to be honest with you, to kind of detox my home. It's been an uphill battle and years in the making. And now that the children are out of the house and it's just me and my husband, I think it'll be a little bit easier to do. So I say, things that you need to be wary of: monosodium, MSG, monosodium glutamate, trans fat hydrogenated oils, seed oils, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. Sodium, you do need some sodium, by the way. If you go too low in the sodium, you'll have adrenal failure because of that. So there's an optimal amount of sodium. Just be cognizant of how much it is that you are consuming. And no, they put sugar in everything, and they call it all kinds of different things. Okay, so look for things. High fructose corn syrup is not even sugar, really. It's fructose. And fructose, in the presence of fiber, your body can manage. High fructose corn syrup, your body has a very hard time digesting that properly, has a tendency to turn it into fat. Dextrose, lactose, sucrose, rice syrup, corn fiber. People see that word fiber and think, oh, fiber. Yeah, that's high fructose corn syrup, just the pulp. So all that corn they ground down, they got all the syrup out of it they possibly could. I still have like a sweet pulpy stuff. Yeah, they put it out in stuff because it's fiber and it's sweet. Hey, that's awesome. Everybody likes that. So be careful of those things. There are certain things that are easier for your body to manage by way of sweeteners. Honey is one of them. Molasses is one of those things. Date sugar, coconut sugar, these things are easier for your body to sort of manage and are lower on the glycemic index. Manuka honey in particular is healthy. And molasses has a lot of, if you get an organic molasses, that also has a fair amount of heavy metals in that in a good way. Magnesium, manganese, zinc, copper. These things are the trace minerals your body needs. It is concentrated plant material, and plants are where you find your zinc and your magnesium and your manganese and your iron, and those things are all in plants. When you concentrate it, and molasses is just that concentration, there's a lot of trace minerals in that. Sea salt will have trace minerals in it, and the Utah Redmond's salt, it's kind of like a Dead Sea salt type stuff. There's trace minerals in that, so those are good sources. Molasses and trace minerals from sea salt are a pretty decent way to get some of these minerals. Just understand the source. Where did they get it, to make sure you don't have toxic minerals in that, like, I don't know, fluoride, lead, talked about that, mercury, the tin. So those things have a tendency to be toxic heavy metals. We don't want those. So make sure you understand where things are sourced. Get moving, get your exercise, because exercise absolutely helps motivate things. Other things, other little tips that I will give, and we're almost done, is to eat sulfur containing foods. These foods can be the ones that are also kind of burpy and farty. They're a little burpy and they're a little farty. So a lot of people don't like to eat them. So you may have to process them in a way that you can digest them better. But whether it's onions, broccoli, garlic, these things are considered non-FODMAP foods. In other words, if you're on a FODMAP diet, these foods are not on there. These foods contain, between the sulfur and some of the oligosaccharides, can be very hard to digest. You also have to be cautious that if you consume too many of these types, if you overdo it, they can actually inhibit your absorption of other types of substances, vitamins, minerals, and whatnot. So again, you don't want to overdo anything, but when you're having dinner, throw some onions on something, have some broccoli. I'm not saying eat it all the time. These things can help with heavy metal detoxes. They're very good for liver function, to excrete metals into the bile so you can poop it all out. Chlorella is a type of algae that also is pretty good for heavy metal detox. Cilantro can help heavy metal detox. We talked about N-acetylcysteine as a supplement because it helps with glutathione production. Again, anything that can help the liver excrete metals out of your body so that you poop them out, that is what you want done. Okay. And then switch to natural cleaning products. Choose things that are essenced with natural oils as opposed to with artificial smells and colors. Okay, so your homework for this week 1, go find Super Patch. Engage in some of those patches. The peach patch, the peace patch, and the REM patch for me are probably the most important. I do use the Ignite patch. It helps with metabolism, so I'm not consuming as much caffeine during the course of the day. I just started the Lumi patch thing. Ever since that paper research kind of came out that it improves collagen, not just blood flow, I'm in on that because I don't want to really go through some crazy skin routine. So I'll let you know how the Lumi patch thing goes. So I'm wearing probably 4 or 5 patches right now as we speak. check them out. And I am grateful to them for sponsoring the content. So just do know that comment is both my personal experience and supported. I do sit on the board at Super Patch, and I do help oversee some of their research, which it is, it goes through IRB approval. This is all university-based and hospital-based research that passes all the national standards and is peer-reviewed when published. So it is real science and it is real research, just so you guys know that. Make sure you're drinking at least 64 ounces of water per day. If you're trying to detox and you want to shed some fat, then this is a great time to go on a clean, non-GMO diet. Get rid of all white starches, which include sugar, flour, grain, including rice. Get rid of your potatoes just for the next month or so. This is to detox. You want to get rid of kind of all that. Let your body focus on getting rid of stuff. You got to stop putting stuff in the system. Once things sort of get flushed out, then you can start reintroducing some of these starches back into your life. But I would start with potatoes and then rice. And I would stay away from gluten at all costs forever. And most grains, especially if they're grown in America. Until you can prove to me that they have cleaned up the soil and the grain growing process, then grain, even when it says it's organic, I don't know. I personally am starting a grain free religiously. I was doing it for most of the time. Like if I have the option, I go grain free. Now it's like, no, so no grain. So doing without that. You want to eat your fruits and veggies. There are some people who cannot tolerate fruits and veggies. And for you guys, I'm okay with a primarily carnivore diet. Just know there are certain things that you need to get from fruits and veggies, such as your vitamin C and certain micro ingredients. After all the minerals that animal has in its body, it got from plants. If you cannot digest plant material, you're not alone. It's not a freakish thing to say you just can't eat plants. And there are plenty of studies out and plenty of people who will say that their stomachs behaved better when they got rid of their vegetarian diet and went to primarily wild caught fish. In particular, my daughter is pescatarian for the most part. It will change your life if you do that, but you have to know where your food is sourced from. And you need to get the phytophenols. You do. Prebiotic fibers that come from root tubers, so to speak. Those things are helpful for the microbiome. Don't forget, this is not just about you. Your gut functions because of a microbiome. Microbiome needs phytophenols and fiber. And so, get the powder supplements, get the smoothies, and then just put it in your water. People who do a carnivore diet do tend to struggle with the salt and the mineral losses. And it's just simply, you need to have some of that, get supplements for that. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, then you'll need sort of a different issue because you're consuming a lot of omega-6 fatty acids compared to the omega-3s. Make sure you have that balance in place and make sure you're getting enough protein in your life. If you have the program, then you have access to these resources. But otherwise, forget I even mentioned it. Remember, vitamin D is an important supplement. I did a recent video, got banned by TikTok because the Endocrine Society wants you to stop worrying about vitamin D. You should not worry about that. Yeah, you friggin' should worry about that. Okay, so there's a distinct relationship between your health and vitamin D levels. And so it is a good idea to know what your vitamin D level is and do things through your whole food diet that can help you improve vitamin D, including go out into the sunlight. Drink lots of water because that helps. Some people, when they switch their diet, they'll get a headache, they get testy, they don't feel right. This is a microbiome challenge, and this means you need a better microbiome. I encourage you to get the Zyve 7 because it will help with some of this process. Do some journaling on a daily basis to track where you are. And again, a lot of that resource is available through our program. Next week, we're going to do time management and expect to feel bad the first couple days you do the detox. If you've never taken N-acetylcysteine, you have got to drink a lot of water with it because it'll give you a headache. The detox process causes dehydration, and this dehydration can lead to exhaustion and headache. So water, 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 water. That is the plan. Eat your protein. Okie dokie. Yeah, and you see there's a statement here that the FDA is threatening vendors for posting N-acetylcysteine over the counter. They've backed off of a lot of that because the outcry was so high. So you can buy it on Amazon now soon, and that's where I get a lot of my N-acetylcysteine. Okay, so that was sort of the quick rundown. And I said I was going to make this month's video shorter because I don't have a lot of time. I'm failing in my mission.